Helia Aurora. Welcome to Eric's Psychedelic Breakfast.
Thank you.
Yeah, no
I'm
problem.
excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. I I really like your whole perspective that you have on plant medicine and your healing with the plant cacao and also with your whole company, Cacao del Sol, which is your own cacao company, which is really cool. Why did you What is cacao for those who might not know exactly?
Okay, so cacao is in its purest form, it's chocolate in its purest form, essentially. And it comes from a tree called the Theobroma cacao tree. And this tree produces these fruit. And inside the fruit, it almost looks like this white, fleshy, like corn on the cob kind of esque thing, kind of lychee, like flesh. And inside of like that fleshy fruit is this soft seed, and that is the cacao seed. And so it's like extracted from the fruit, it's dried, it's roasted, and then it's ground, and it makes this like really fatty cacao paste that's like
Hmm.
chocolate in its pure form.
Is it similar to the coffee bean, the coffee plant?
Well, yes and no at the
Right.
same time. It's funny because cacao came into my life like years and years ago before I knew that I had any family connection to cacao. And then after I started my company, I found out through my grandmother, who's 97, she was like 96 at the time, that her dad grew and exported cacao and coffee from Puerto Rico.
Oh.
So it's like part of my family lineage, which is really cool. But coffee, I guess I could talk about the effects. Coffee is rich in caffeine, and cacao is rich in theobromine. So, theobromine, which translates to food of the gods, is
Oh, really?
the yeah, it's the component in cacao that is caffeine like. It's like a cousin of caffeine, but it's not exactly caffeine. It's actually a vasodilator, so it opens the blood vessels rather than constricting them. So
Oh.
coffee like constricts your blood vessels, so it can create like anxiety and rush, while cacao opens the blood vessels and allows for more oxygen flow to the brain, to the heart, to the body. And it's like a more like smooth curve with the caffeinated feeling. It's like a slow and a steady, while caffeine's like a spike. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So there's not like a very um um there's no like tr like I'm trying to compare it to, for example, and other indigenous plant medicines, maybe like ayahuasca or maybe psilocybin, where there's a more of a hallucinogenic effect, or
Mm-hmm.
it's more of a kind of like a just opens your mind up instead a little bit, right?
Cacao does so much. So yes, I exactly what you're saying. Like it's not a hallucinogenic
Right, right, right.
plant. Uh, yeah, we could talk about ayahuasca and those things. But cacao, it's an opener. So it opens things. It opens the heart. It opens the spirit. Like it allows for connection. But it also is an amplifier. So
Oh, okay.
whatever plants you're working with, say you put mugwort in your cacao, it's going to actually amplify the mugwort, or rose, or whatever. You can mix cacao with like anything, but basically the way that it works is it really amplifies, and because it opens the blood vessels and allows for that oxygenation, that it allows the body to receive a lot. but it can also open the pineal gland. So you can have psychedelic moments with
Right.
anything, really,
Right.
with anything. It's not psychedelic in its own, but it
Yeah.
can produce a channeled state, a vision state, very much.
Right. It facilitates those states a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I actually work a lot with cacao and like dreaming, dream work.
Right. Yes. I thought that was so fascinating. I really love the non um continuation of dreams, right? But then you look back at your own life and it also doesn't make any sense, or it's not very continual. That you and me are even sitting here and talking. So, I really think that exploring and visiting your dreams is a great way to explore and visit your own reality and life because they're so similar.
100%.
Right. And you have these retreats and all kinds of workshops that are so sick. Um, and people go to these workshops to, like, for example, you have one coming up, right? That's the ritual of remembrance. Yeah, that one is in Tulum. I wanted to ask you why Tulum? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Okay, so I live in Mexico. I've been in Mexico for 4.5 years, and Mexico has just kind of stolen my heart in a way, in a funny way. Like it plugged me into the earth and plugged me into these ancestral medicines. And it's where I started to connect a lot with my healing journey through the plants and through cultures and various routes. That's been really beautiful. And so right now I actually live in Playa del Carmen, which is about an hour from Tulum. And I find myself going to Tulum a lot to visit the cenotes, which are, you know what a cenote is?
Yes.
Okay, so for people who are listening that don't know, they say, you know, the big asteroid that came and like destroyed the dinosaurs.
Right.
Apparently, it hit in this region in the Yucatan,
Right.
and it created these like sinkholes that filled with these clean waters. And so all of them, there's like thousands and thousands of cenotes, and they're connected intricately underground. Like people dive with scuba tanks, and like you can go into different, it's like a cave system underneath the earth. And the Mayans worked with the cenotes as a portal to the underworld, and they would do a lot of their ceremony and ritual, and even in certain ones, they would sacrifice. And so there's this power here. And so I find myself going to Tulum a lot to visit the
Yeah.
cenotes and to connect with the jungle there. And then my shaman that I've been working with for a while, he does some ceremonies in this area. He lives here half of the year. And so the one of my favorite places I've been to sit in ceremony with him was in Tulum. And as soon as I got there, I was like, this is where I'm hosting the retreat. And
Mm.
so that's why Tulum.
Yeah, nice. And do you guys ever go to like the pyramids and ruins in Tulum, for example, and do stuff like that in your
Yeah.
retreats?
Yeah, for the retreat, we're not going to go to the Tulum ruins because they're the archaeological zone, because that
Mm,
one's very touristy and it's like very
mm,
populated, but it's beautiful. It's like so magical.
mm,
One of my best friends is a tour guide here. And so just like we get to go to all of these places and he's helping in the retreat. So he's taking us to the cenotes, to the like white sand beach, and to the archaeological zone. But there's a couple different ones that are a little bit further out and hidden, that are really magical and kind of still have that spirit running through it intact, more so than the highly trafficked ones, if you know what I mean.
right. Yeah, it's also a little bit kind of close to the pyramids of Chichen Itza, for example,
Mhm.
that are also beautiful and magnificent. Um, yeah, do you ever do anything with that? Do you ever um go to those?
Yeah. Um, have you been to any of the ruins or archaeological zones here?
Yes. Yeah, I've been to both of those, and they are, I really like them. I know that the Mayans used to use cacao a lot, right? Did they use it for healing and stuff as medicine as well?
Cacao was like was an something that they utilized in every ceremony and birth
Mm.
ceremonies and death and marriage, in their courts whenever they would
Right,
have like governmental meetings, but also in like everyday ritual. Different cultures have used cacao different. Like the Aztecs used it really as a currency, and like the gods and the kings and like the people of like high power and valor drink the cacao because it
oh
was like
wow.
invigorating for them. But the Mayans, like everyone was really familiar with cacao. I lived in Palenque, Chiapas before I moved here, and I was there for a year and a half. And I was actually like not even 2 miles from the archaeological zone. So I was constantly there. And the power of the jungle in Palenque, it's like two
Right.
hours north of Guatemala.
Yeah.
It's really, really powerful. And there's still Mayan descendants that live there. They're the Mayan Chol, and so that's who I get my Mexican cacao from. Is
Oh,
they hand make it there. That's grown
right.
on the archaeological zone, and it's really beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, I was gonna say that I don't know how good the cacao in Tulum is. Yeah, I have also been to Chiapas and Oaxaca, and I went to what's it called? I can't believe Agua Azul. What is it?
Yeah, agua
Yeah.
azul.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Yeah, and I played around a little bit with the cacao beans and also a lot with coffee. I kind of roasted some coffee and stuff and also saw the fruit and yeah, it's so beautiful. Have you ever done any like retreat? I think that's what heaven is like, honestly. I think Chiapas is literally, if there's anything that resembles Eden, it's probably that.
Wow, Chiapas. I think about it all the time. I'm like, I miss
Yeah,
Palenque.
y'all should go. Anyone listening, go check it out.
Yeah, highly recommended. It's not a highly touristed area. There's not like a lot of um, like people who aren't from Mexico living there.
Right. Have you thought about doing a retreat over there or any kind of
I would love
workshop?
to bring people there. I've done some one-on-one stuff there. Some friends have come out and visited me, and we like made cacao and went to the land and did prayer in the archaeological zone. But I have yet to like bring people just because you've been out there. It's kind of like a hop, skip, and a jump to get to the middle of the jungle like that.
Yeah,
International airports are you have to take multiple flights and buses and all kinds of stuff. So
that's true.
it's a journey, but I would absolutely love to bring people, especially now that the Tren Maya. I have mixed feelings about the train, but
Mm.
it does create a pathway to the jungle,
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, that's gonna be
opportunity.
great. Yeah, so you mix some herbs in your these retreats and how the do you go around that healing with the cacao in your Tulum retreats?
Okay, you cut out a little bit. Can you repeat the question?
Uh, hello, can you hear me? Am I good? Okay. Yeah, I just asked how you use the cacao in your ceremonies to do healing and heal. What kind of healing do you do and how do you do it?
Okay, that's a loaded question.
Yeah,
But it's a really good question. I like
I
how
know.
curious
I
you
know
are.
it's out there.
Oh, there's so many ways to utilize cacao. So I'll just go into like a retreat form, for instance. I
Okay.
like to utilize cacao to open and close the container, to open the ceremony and for
Mm,
everyone to like set their intention and introduce themselves. And then in closing, in a similar way, and obviously you got to open and close each ceremony, but I find it a really great
right.
way to just like come together and close things. I like to, okay, I guess the best way I can describe any plant medicine, cacao, whatever you're working with, is that it's a relationship between you and the plant, or you and the spirit of the plant. And so with cacao can like work with so many things. It releases different endorphins, it creates stem cells, it releases dopamine, serotonin, anandamide, and it also has like a bunch of magnesium. There's so many things that cacao have in it, like that's nutrient enriched, but also it has a very rich history, and with history and stories creates like the mastery of this spirit. And there's been different deities and gods and different lineages attached to cacao. So it has so many different ways that it can present itself. It's both masculine, feminine, and child. The plant is hermaphroditic, and so it has like the fat, which is very feminine and nourishing, and then the theobromine, which is masculine and very like direct and opening. And so what you can do with cacao is really sit with many things. It's healed my gut because of the fermented cacao specifically really worked with re-healing my microbiome in my gut. It's helped me with my energy. It's helped me like integrate all other plant medicine. Like cacao is fantastic for integration. It's helped with sleep. It's helped with like even like turning on my physical energy in my body.
Did you
And
say?
so what I recommend people, go ahead.
Did you say? Um, I would love to talk about what you recommend, but it helps you integrate other plant medicines as well. Hmm. How does it do
Mhm.
that? Sorry, it's just at
So
one point before I forget.
yeah, well, it's really about intention, and cacao is a plant medicine. It holds a spirit, but it's something that anyone can work with. And it's so easy to create a space with it. And like I'm sipping on cacao right now. And before I started, when I was preparing to meet you for this podcast, I just spoke to the cacao and I said, let me be a channel for you. Like, whatever you want me to share, allow me to share that. And so, when you speak with a plant or with a spirit, it can help you integrate things. And cacao requires presence. And so, if you're wanting to integrate some work that you did with psilocybin or ayahuasca or gambo or any of the plants or animal spirits that you work with, you can create a container of, okay, I'm going to sit with cacao for 2 weeks every day in the morning or in the evening, and I'm going to take some time to journal or talk to the spirit or just meditate, and it'll open things and it'll allow you to see different things, because that spirit's still holding you in that container. Does that make sense?
Yeah, uh, that's great. And do people kind of come to some of your retreats? Um, how does that integration look like? That process of going through maybe a strong psychedelic experience with cacao, and then in the jungle in the most beautiful place, and then to being in the office the next day, maybe with a cup of coffee, or with two ice cubes in it and creamer and stuff.
That's a great question. So all of my retreats have been different. They always have earth elements, like connecting with waters and nature and archaeological zone,
Hmm.
and cacao. But this upcoming retreat that's happening in January of 2026, um, Emily, you met Emily.
Yeah.
Her and I went to Peru and sat with one of our teachers. He is from the Peruvian Amazon and he works with tobacco and ayahuasca. He's amazing. And we had such a profound experience there that her and I just knew that we wanted to create containers to share this medicine with people with the actual source of the medicine. And so Juan Carlos will be guiding this ayahuasca ceremony, and we wanted to create a container to properly open and prepare for the medicine and land back. Take a few days of connecting with the land, connecting with cacao, doing integration therapies. And so it creates this like this container where you're not just having this plant medicine experience, but you're being held for
Hmm.
7 or 6 nights of prayer and ritual and integration. And then following, I like to do every other week a meeting call for usually 2 or 3, just for everybody to meet, and we can like sit and sip cacao and talk about how we're integrating.
Hmm.
And the integration process, like it looks different for everyone. And integration is really like just bringing what you received into your body and like into your physical reality. And
Right.
so I asked Juan Carlos Taminchi, which is my mentor and shaman. I asked him, how do you stay, you as in me, like how does one person like stay in integrity with the medicine? Because some people will drink a lot of times in a close like period of time. Some people will work really deeply with the medicine, and then sometimes it seems like people are just like chasing something in the medicine. And so I asked, like, how do you stay in integrity? And he said, whenever you bring what you learned in ceremony into your life, that's what the medicine desires. It wants to impact your life. It wants to be shared with your communities, with your family. Not necessarily you have to like preach the word of whatever you received or like share the
Right.
visuals or whatever, but the healing that took place in you, it's our responsibility to carry that healing forward and not to revert back to our
Right.
old ways of
Yeah.
perceiving.
Yeah, and I love that many of these plant medicine retreats will focus a lot on community sometimes. And I think that's interesting. I think there can also be a lot of big part of the learning experience can also be done, by yourself, a lot of reflection and stuff like that. But I do agree that there is something to say for when you go back and you think you've made it and you think you know everything and you go back home and your parents just kind of like make a joke that just completely destroys everything. They just call you something and you're like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm still the same person.
Still human.
A lot to learn. A lot- There's still a lot of reincarnations left to to learn whatever."
Plant medicine's so humbling as well. Like it's just so much bigger than what we can perceive. And
Yeah,
I always just remember I know nothing.
right, right. I agree. Yeah, it feels like there is a serious aspect to it, which is right, like you should learn from it. You should absorb it, mm, and to have it be in your life and be in a relationship with it. Yeah. Um, what do you think about meditation? Um, like how do you guys do different meditations in your retreats with Cacao?
Yeah. Um, I just wanted to circle back to something
Yes,
that you
please.
said is we are learning. We're always learning, but sometimes that learning is literally how to play or how to
Hmm.
experience joy in the body. Like it doesn't learning doesn't
Right.
have to be like this serious like I fought the demons of my ancestors. Well, sometimes it does. Like sometimes it really looks like that. But sometimes it's just like opening up to the beauty of life again
Mm,
and letting like the numbness fall away. And so yeah, I just wanted to bring that in. It's like it gets to be beautiful.
right.
And sometimes there's challenging moments in any psychedelic or plant medicine experience, but they're great teachers for the capacity that we have to hold and to love and to experience. meditation. Meditation is something that took me a long time to like really understand because there's a lot going on in my brain. And I used to love like I could sit in a quiet spot and just think. And that's how I felt when I first started meditation. I was like, I don't see a
Mm,
point of it until I started to work with energy. Then it clicked for me because Reiki came into my life pretty much when my awakening happened, and it was like finally a meditation that like I was using my hands and connecting like to physical sensation and my body rather than like trying to clear the mind or trying to go somewhere with the
right.
mind, but it brought it into my body. And so for me, meditation um, works best when I'm integrated into my body experience, whether that's like visualizing connection to the earth or literally going and meditating at the water or in the jungle. Like, is the easiest way for me to meditate is being connected to nature and being in the body with the sensations, with the feelings. Uh, because
Right.
I feel like so often in meditation, we're like sitting down and we're just trying to like you know, clear the mind or get to a certain thing or having this goal and to just like come back to the body and to just feel kind of takes the mind out of it. And for me, meditation kind of happens like in that space spontaneously through just like being present. Um, but for the retreats, there will be meditation. I usually do meditation with Kundalini yoga. And so with the yoga towards the end, I'll usually go into meditation. But it's not necessarily a meditation retreat. We'll have breath work
Hmm.
and yoga and nature connection and rituals and sweat lodge and all of that kind of stuff. And it's good to learn how to center and bring your energy back into presence when you're in any environment, plant medicine, sweat lodge, communication with the parent, whatever it is. It's like, how can we center ourselves?
Yeah,
What about you? Do you meditate?
I try. Yeah. I'm meditating right
Me too.
now. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I try. I love doing I've been recently doing walking meditation a little bit, which is
Oh,
just,
nice.
focusing on the actual physical sensation of like the floor and so that's kind of nice because like you said, you're not essentially trying to block thoughts or getting somewhere, but rather just kind of like embracing the body.
Yeah, that's really cool. Where are you doing your walking meditations? Do you like go to a park or?
Just wherever I'm at, whenever I start getting stressed out, but just I'll start
Oh, that's
walking.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
great that you don't have to like have a specific like place. You can just kind of drop in.
Yeah, I like to think of walking as a very natural thing, like an instinct, complete instinct. Like, how do we walk? That's so strange and hard, but we do it automatically.
It's so true.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll start walking sometimes to kind of like reset my nervous system and stuff.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think there's like a lot of ways to use, for example, in Buddhism, there's there's like 7 stages of meditation or something, and a lot of them have to do with trying to see through, and I'm probably butchering this, and I'm so sorry. Like just trying to see through the Mayan illusion of life and realizing that it's a dream. Like there's a lot of people who say that there's a lot of people are you're actually doing something when you're meditating. You're not just kind of sitting there. You're actually like doing work and then there's like in religions there's like different kind of work that you do in different times up until the end that I don't know, you realize it's a dream and blah blah blah. But yeah, I think it's fascinating all of that. Lucid dreaming is also really interesting.
Yes. Are you a dreamer? Do you have like vivid dreams?
Man, I don't. I try so hard and I want to. And I know I probably could if I really tried, got a book and set alarms and stuff or whatever.
You don't need to do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
like a keep it simple kind of person. Like
Okay.
for me, when I'm working with dream work or facilitating dream work,
Yeah.
honestly, I love working with cacao because not a lot. You're not going to want a ceremonial dose before bed because it can like activate you, but also
Oh, okay.
the serotonin converts to melatonin, and there's a lot of magnesium in cacao, and it also activates different parts of the brain. And so I like to work with a little bit and talk to the spirit of cacao because, okay, when I got into dream work, it kind of started when I was a little kid. And I was having these like prophetic dreams. I would see things before they happened. It was kind of crazy and kind of
I
uncomfortable.
have those. I have
Yeah,
those.
okay. I think a lot of people do. I think it is a gift, right? Like some people have it. We have different connections. Everybody has different connections in their dreams. There's a lot of
Yeah.
different gifts, like how we have spiritual gifts in the waking.
Yeah, it's gone to the point where I don't even tell anybody because it sounds crazy. Just like deja vu like that, but I don't know if they're the same thing, because they feel very similar. It almost feels like it's a dream. And I know scientists have like tried to figure out that there's like, there's actually like reaction speed between your brain and your eyes and deja vu just happens whenever one part of the brain communicates without the other part or something. But it really does feel like I had a dream and it happened. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, dreams are crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah, I had these crazy experiences in the dreaming, and so much that I turned off. I was like, I'm done. Like, I don't want to dream anymore. And I stopped dreaming for a long time. It
Wow.
was just got so intense. I was having a lot of nightmares,
Wow.
and then when I was in college the first time, um, I started writing papers on lucid dreaming and like the neurobiological implications. I was really nerdy. I was into science at the time
Wow.
and
Nice.
wanted to study the brain
That's
and
crazy.
like yeah, it was like getting into all of these really like intricate mechanisms.
Yeah.
And I started lucid dreaming while I was doing that, and all of these crazy things started happening where I started to have like this mystical awakening during the time. That's why I left school. Like it was like things started talking to me, electricity started like interacting with me funny, different animals would like cross my path like one after another, like weird things.
Yeah.
And the weather started communicating with me, and it was all like happening in my dream state and then happening in like life, and it was just so much that I couldn't really figure out what was going on. But I was having these like what felt like dark energies attacking me sometimes in my dream state, like sleep paralysis, or like some
Ooh.
people experience like a being and they can't move.
Yeah.
I was starting to have like some experiences like that and feeling like I needed to protect myself. And in my journey, I have learned and met like a channel. So I channel a bit, and some messages that have come through is that there's different plants that protect us in the dreaming, like mint,
Oh, wow.
nettle, these kinds of things can create an energetic protection. And the more that I work with the plants, I realize plants in general create this auric field around you that protect you. And so for me, I work with cacao as well because cacao is like a vessel. It like protects my physical body and my auric field while I'm in the dream state. And so I like to work with it very intentionally, where I'll just have a little bit of cacao before bed, or even just smell it or communicate with the spirit. You could really use anything. I did like a plant container, and some people used chamomile, some people use like blue lotus. You could use mugwort. It kind of just depends on like what you are trying to accomplish in your dream state. If you need more rest, if you're
Mm.
having nightmares, if you want to open things, you can like work with different plants. And you just like develop a relationship with the plant. And so basically, all you have to do is pick something that you like. If you want to sit with a chamomile tea or a lavender tea before bed and just like connect with it. And then before I go to bed, I'll light a candle and I'll just tap on my third eye and say, like, as I'm falling asleep, I'm going to bed and I'm going to remember my dreams. And so you can just start with that simple mantra, that simple intention. Start small. I'll remember my dreams. And then once like you start to like get into the dream state, you can go into a different intention. Like I will remember my dreams and recognize that I'm dreaming. And so you can like start to build, and your brain is like when you're falling asleep, it's taking your short-term memories and storing it into long-term or just like filtering it out. It's like your brain is moving through different waves of like resting you from the day. And so ideally, like whatever you're saying or whatever you're putting intention into before bed, your brain's going to process that while you're asleep. And so it'll trigger something in your brain of like, oh, I'm dreaming. Um, and so it could be really simple.
Gotcha.
One of my favorite intentions before bed is show me truth. I used to work with all kinds of intentions, like I want to meet this friend at this tree, and I've done some fun things where I like meet friends and like we communicate in dreams, and there's been some fun stuff. But show me truth has just been so clean, like um, such like a pure intention that it'll show me whatever I need to see.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like you don't have, it's all about intention and like where you put your mind. You don't really have to do a bunch of like reading or studying or
Yeah, no, I like doing that with also sometimes with food sometimes, just like I do think you're right. Especially with neurotropic plants, I do think that, you know, you, you start feeling the effects of it before you even ingest it, like you're saying like you can just like smell it or just like be with it. Which makes me ask, what do you think about cannabis as a plant medicine?
about what?
As for cannabis, what do you think about cannabis?
Oh, well, I have a lot of thoughts because I've been like, I started smoking cannabis like when I was a sophomore in high school. And my relationship with cannabis was really like I was a functional pothead. Like I got my schoolwork done, I got my job done, but I like to be stoned and I was stoned all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's had to evolve over time because the spirit of cannabis, she's kind of a mistress, but she's also like, she's got this mother energy. And so, like any mother, we can become like codependent, we can become enabled, we can be
Wow.
nurtured, we could be loved, we can receive a variety of experiences through that. And so, in this relationship we have with any plant, it's really important to kind of like check where you're at. For me, like I really like take time away from the plant and try to work with it more medicinally or to play, like to be like hang out with friends and not to be so much of like, okay, I'm just chilling, like I'm gonna smoke a joint, because I've been in that stage of my life a lot. And so I like to utilize it sometimes to integrate if I'm doing a lot of like other plant medicine ceremonies, like once I'm out of that cycle, to just like bring things back into like 4D and like back into the body.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah, I think it's really about your relationship. When I'm
Hmm.
working with dream work or like ayahuasca, these things work with DMT in the brain. When you're dreaming, you're releasing DMT. When you're working with ayahuasca, it's
Right.
a DMT, and so
When you
it
die.
creates this, yeah, this channel, right? And um, cannabis can close that psychic channel a bit and keep
Hmm.
you fogged. Like
Yeah.
it creates this fog from a certain level. And so I stop dreaming if I start smoking a lot. Or
Yeah.
like if you smoke too close to like ceremony, you might not get the visuals or the visions that you would have access to if you like cleansed your pineal gland in your lungs. Does that make
Mm,
sense? So like
yeah.
I don't have I don't have like strong like yes cannabis, no cannabis, but more of like what's
Right.
your relationship like with it and like what's your intention with my daughter?
Yeah. Yeah, I also think it's an interesting plant. I think that like you're saying, there could be a lot of benefits to having that fogginess, maybe if you're in a very, stable point in your life where you're not trying to manifest a bunch of complex and, DMT energy stuff. But if you are trying to do all that, then I think right, I think it would help to go off it, help the dreaming aspect of it, which I think it is very interesting how dreams affect um real life. Like there's a lot of manifesting new age people who say that the state that you're in right before you go to sleep is like a really malleable subconscious place where you can change your subconscious and therefore when you wake up your brain will start bringing in things by itself and that's like how you manifest one way because that space is really really interesting that alpha state or whatever.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like that space between awake and asleep. Um,
Yeah.
it's a very vulnerable space too, because it's like in this act of like kind of surrendering your senses to enter into another state of
Yeah. They say that
of life.
that's the state that babies are at and like little kids.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, right.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting when you brought up sleep paralysis. I used to have a lot of challenges with that as a kid. Um, and it's funny, I haven't thought about that in a while. And it used to be so scary going to sleep because it was like, oh, you never know. It was really bad. But then it got me thinking like maybe in the future with like AI and neuro links and stuff, maybe there's a way to actually wake yourself up with the sleep paralysis or something. I wonder if, have you ever I don't know. Like I it always feels like you want someone to like move you or something, but you can't. You can't.
Yeah.
No one can heal
I
you for
haven't
you.
struggled with it too much, but I've had like clients and friends that have had a lot of sleep paralysis. I've had it a couple times, but it always, this is going to sound, I don't know how this is going to sound to people listening, but it always feels like there's some kind of dark energy that's like um, present.
The
At least
demiurge.
in my experience since having my awakening.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear like a story?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, so Emily lived with me in Palenque for a little bit. Emily's my best friend, and like we were both in the Navy together, but we were just like acquainted. So we've been through like a very like big journey of many different phases of life. And we were like living like in the jungle at these like cabanas. And this was, I was channeling a lot at this time and like doing a lot of like prayer work and like candle work and like manifestation work like in the in like the dark hours of the night with like candles and intentions and herbs. And so we were like channeling one night, and Emily's curiosity sometimes could be a little unhinged. I have to like reel her in. But she was like, I want to like start. She wanted to connect with like a dead relative. And so she was like opening like up this mediumship. And it was her first time to channel. I was like guiding her into this. And there was like, I was just like, we have to like stop. Like there's like this weird energy coming through. She kept getting curious and wanting to ask like these questions, and I was like, all right, I'm clearing the energy, like we're closing it here. And I felt like I didn't want to sleep in that room that night because it's not always great to open energies in the room that you're sleeping in. And so we had like two rooms, but I was like, you want to sleep in my room with me? And so we're like in the king size bed, and she's like asleep, and I'm asleep, and my cat, his name is Sueño, which is dream in Spanish. He was
Nice.
like on the bed, and in the dream state, I was like, I woke up, and so it was like this in between state, but I was really still asleep, but I thought I was awake, and I was in my bed, and I couldn't move, and there was like this ghostly entity above Emily in the bed. And I was trying to like move or like scream and like let her know, but I literally couldn't. Like, and then in the dream state, my cat like got up and he like jumped into the air and hissed, and then it broke the energy, and I could like move, and then I opened my eyes, and my cat was like sleeping next to me purring, and so I felt like he was protecting me. And I didn't wake up Emily and tell her, but I like cleared a bunch of energy in the room and then went to bed. And so I don't know, that was like the last time, and that was a couple years ago that I
Mm.
experienced sleep paralysis. And she used to experience it a lot up until that point.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I agree. I think people worry when they, use um trying to channel, right? Maybe because there are nice beings out there, but there's also probably not so nice entities. Because I feel like a lot of people would be like, "Oh my goodness, this is some kind of external alien 4D enlightened being. Therefore everything he says must be true and right and everything, you know?"
Well, it's kind of like with psychedelics, right? Like you
Yeah.
can open your perception up to seeing things that you normally wouldn't see. And so I think channeling is another way that we can enter into these clear viewing spaces where we can actually see more of what's going on. And in plant medicine and psychedelic journeys and spiritual work, you want to have discernment and checks and balances of like what you're allowing into your space and what you're not. And so I feel like those things are just important. Like the more aware we become and the more consciousness we gain of like
Mhm.
being really like clear, like opening a space properly.
Right.
Even like if I'm eating mushrooms with friends, just like very casual, not casually, but like not in a ceremonial form, I still like have to set an intention and like put all of my presence and energy in with the spirit of the anguitos, because I feel like they'll protect you. But if you don't, if you're just like playing, most of the time you're fine. But there's
Right.
times where weird things happen.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And how do you, Cacao is also similar to that, right? Would you say? Or is it more steady?
I would say really like it all comes down, well, not all comes down to, I think a big component on mushrooms, cacao, anything is like where it's sourced from and the people that are sourcing it and the land that it grew on and all of that stuff. Cacao is very like, it's a heart plant, and it's pretty mellow. Like I've never had anything crazy with cacao, uh, just because it like the nature of the plant. Um, I've definitely had intense moments with cacao, especially like in ceremony, like in the beginning, because I wasn't very comfortable being around people, and so I would feel like intense pain in my solar plexus or in my heart, or like restriction in my throat, but it was like cleaning energy in my body. And so having discernment of like what's cleaning and clearing and what's like not, is good to know too. But typically, if you're like in a safe and protected space, you're going to be fine. But I feel like the mushrooms work more with the mind than cacao. And I mean, it's a psychedelic, so it's like inherently working with your psyche.
Right.
And so I feel like for me personally, I love to have, if I'm gonna have mushrooms, cacao is gonna be a part of that. So I will either eat like mushroom chocolate with like dark chocolate, or I'll make like a cup of cacao and like put my mushrooms into it because the cacao will allow that process of the heart and the body to like integrate the mind. And so it can ground the medicine a little bit more too. And so it's
Mm.
not so like, uh, sometimes it can be really like out of body feeling. And so for me, like it really brings it into the body a bit more.
Mm. And how do you recommend people get some cacao if they want to implement it into their rituals?
Well, I definitely recommend getting like an ethical trade cacao. If you wanted to order from Cacao del Sol, I have a website. It's cacaodelsol.co, co. And the cacao that I have right now is from Ecuador, and that's on the website. And that's what I have in the States. And then the Palenque cacao I have with me here in Mexico. And so if I fly to the States, I can bring it with me. But shipping, exporting, importing, is like this whole, it's not an easy thing to do. And so I work with someone that already like brings it into the US.
Mm.
And like the place where this cacao comes from is really beautiful. It comes from a collective of farmers that are really like upholding the plant and the integrity, and it like feeds like I think 50 something communities in
Oh
this
wow.
area of Ecuador. And so it's really beautiful cacao, but I just recommend like finding a company or like a person that works with cacao that you resonate with. If you're going to order cacao, uh, you can get cacao from like a health food store, but a lot of times it's powdered. And so the powdered cacao has basically gone through another process where they have stripped the fat from the cacao. And a lot of
Mm.
the times, these companies will strip the fat from the cacao and sell it to beauty companies because you make a lot of money off of it as like a
Mm.
skin care thing. And so, like Hershey's
Wow.
and these bigger companies, don't mean to put them on blast, but a lot of them, what I call blood chocolate,
Mm.
they're in East Africa. They're basically draining the land of its essence, and they have child labor, and they basically like pay these families nothing to work in these cacao fields, and they take the cacao, give them nothing for it, turn it into like this very sugary product that is addicting, and then adding a bunch of like sugar to it, and then they sell the fats to skincare companies. And so I think it's important to know where your cacao is coming from. And if you want that full medicinal effect and that spirit of it, to get the cacao paste, pasta de cacao.
Mm. Gotcha. Yeah, that's awesome. That sounds very, very nice. People should try that. Yeah, thank you so much, Elia, for coming on and having a conversation with you. It was so, so nice. I forgot to ask you this. We usually start the podcast asking you what you had for breakfast. So, what did you have for breakfast?
I like this question. Well, I usually fast. Like I don't eat for late in the day, but I love breakfast
Oh wow,
food. So when I
nice.
ate, I had a wrap with eggs, just like 3 eggs, tortilla, very like with salsa matcha, very Mexican of me.
Nice.
I'm not Mexican, but my heart is. What about you? What did you have for breakfast?
I also had breakfast pretty late, not because I'm fasting, but I just like to sleep. But but I
Same.
yeah.
I'm fasting.
And I had the same thing. I had tacos, I had egg tacos with some cheese, and I put balsamic glaze in them and like this corn salsa. And I'm gonna be honest, it didn't
Yum.
it the balsamic glaze did not work. Like I'm gonna just be honest.
No?
Not really. It was
Okay.
it just stole the show, It was way too strong a little bit. A little strange. But yeah, man, breakfast egg tacos are so good. They're so good. They're so popular here in like in America, People eat
Yeah.
them all the time, like croissants and egg sandwiches are also fire with cheese.
Yeah, with some coffee.
Yes, or cacao. Yeah, so the how's your fasting? I think that's really interesting. Do you kind of use cacao with your fasting and
Actually, we'll do, I like to do like around the equinoxes and the solstices. I like to do like a 3 day fast. And for a long time, I just did water. But I've been working with cacao fasting, and let me tell you, there's nothing like it. It's like, well, I work with like, I'll take the cascada, like the shell of the cacao bean, and I'll make a tea. So I'm not just drinking like cacao all day. I'll drink like cacao tea. I'll have like some cacao, but I'll usually just have like
Oh
one like
wow.
cup of cacao a day. And every time I've done a cacao fast, the miracles that happen in my life and the things that open and like the opportunities that
Mm,
happen in that time frame, like I couldn't make it up.
yeah.
And it's always been like mind blowing what happens when I'm like in a 3 day prayer with cacao and only cacao.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome.
And it is the food of the gods. So it's like
Right.
that's what they call it.
What other things have theobrine?
That's it.
Theobromine, excuse me.
It is specific to cacao.
Really?
Yep.
Man, that's funny because I'm thinking about Terence McKenna's book, Food of the Gods, which I haven't read, but I really want to read it.
I've seen the book. I've heard it's good. I haven't read it though.
Yeah, yeah, me neither. But that's so interesting. I'm so excited to try some cacao, hopefully from Cacao del Sol, because sounds
Yeah.
great. But
Well, let me
yeah,
know and I'll hook you up.
yes, thank you, thank you.
Of course.
So, is there anything else that you want to plug, or say maybe where people can reach you before we go?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I feel like that's like where I'm at. I don't
Yeah.
really get on other platforms.
Mhm.
But I'm at Lucidly, Lucidly, Helia, Heliia. Wow, I can't even spell right now.
No, English
H
is
E
weird.
L I A. But yeah, Lucidly Helia. And then there's also a Cacao del Sol Instagram at Cacao del Sol.
Yes, and that will be on in the description of the video
Cool.
podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Yeah, and
you.
feel free to message me. I'm pretty responsive to anyone that has like questions about dream work or cacao or plant medicine. Like, I like talking about it.
Yeah, nice. All right, well, thank you, Elia. I'll
Thank you
talk to you
so much.
soon. Yeah.
It's been really lovely.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
Have a
Bye.
good rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.